It's that time of the year where the most clickbait, hypothetical, blockbuster trades get thrown around the NFL media, but we're going to buy into them. We're going to take a look at the current status of some of these star players. Welcome back to Wildcard Wednesdays, where every week I bring you the latest news and hot takes surrounding the sports, mainly football world. And in this episode, we're going to be talking trade rumors, NFL free agency, potential landing spots for guys like Tyreek Hill, Trey Hendrickson, even maybe Anthony Richardson, and some other intriguing buzz that you're going to want to stay for. Let's start with these trade mockups though. According to a recent report by Todd McShay, this guy is a draft analyst, I guess, for Ringer, some big name quarterbacks are going to be targeted by teams this offseason, which we know, but it's going to include CJ Stroud. Now, I read this originally and almost laughed. People really think the Texans are dumb enough to ship off Stroud because of 2 poor playoff games. Last time I checked, Stroud has been in the league 3 years and already has more playoff wins than Dak Prescott. Okay, though. Talk about holy recency bias with Stroud. I know he was ugly, but look at the divisional round. He was missing, 3 key guys? There was a ton of drops by his receivers. Woody Marks also had that key fumble. I think if Woody Marks doesn't fumble that ball, because the Texans were coming out of half, they were driving down, I think it's a whole different game. And also, Stroud was dealing with injuries. He had a concussion that sidelined him for 2-3 games when Davis Mills came in. I can still pull up clutch throws on clutch throws from the regular season this past year that prove he's still the Texans franchise guy. I just think he's victim to everyone hyping him up as the next Peyton Manning so early in his career that now that he's facing some hiccups, everyone's jumping off ship. Like, people are now saying Bryce Young is better than him. That to me is the craziest part. Do you remember the outrage the Panthers, especially their comment section on Instagram and X, was getting their rookie seasons by fans saying how badly they passing on Stroud and drafting Bryce Young? The switch up is crazy now. But anyways, CJ Stroud is not getting traded. That is total garbage. I wouldn't even say next year is a prove it year for him. When he's thrown 62 touchdowns to 25 interceptions in his career, he's got a completion percentage of over 63% in his first 3 seasons. Also, last year, he had the number 11 QBR rank in the NFL. So yeah, he's consistently proved that he is the man. Next, let's talk Joe Burrow, everyone's favorite. He loves sending subtle messages that he hates Cincinnati in the front office. Feel like he does it every week. And he's this supposed generational talent that hasn't even made the playoffs in back-to-back years. So naturally, you're going to see a ton of hypothetical Vikings trade packages for him where they send JJ McCarthy. Burrow teams back up with Justin Jefferson, gets his career saved. Bro, that is nothing but constant clickbait. Do we remember how difficult it was for Carson Palmer to get traded out of Cincinnati, 10 years ago? That was such an ongoing struggle. Palmer had to threaten retirement, but owner Mike Brown wasn't going to just give in to his demands, bro. These high-profile quarterback trades just don't happen, especially when they're signed to a large deal already. And there is no way the Bengals are going to go from Joe Burrow to JJ McCarthy. That gives them absolutely no chance in the AFC North. They aren't rebuilding right now. They are paying Jamar and T. Higgins all this money to go catch passes from one of the best quarterbacks in the game. So what needs to happen in Cincy is Burrow, first of all, needs to stay healthy. He needs to stop holding the ball too long and taking a million sacks that makes him injury prone and start delivering to his weapons. I'm sick of the defense and the O-line talk. If Burrow is a top 5 quarterback in the game, you don't miss the playoffs going on 3 years in a row when you have the best wide receiver duo in the NFL. Okay, I want to talk Kyler Murray too. He might just be the most legitimate name in the quarterback market this offseason. Jets are looking into him as well as the Vikings. A lot of people seem to think that the Vikings are going to be a great fit, the most realistic chance, yet I still think he stays put. People forget just how good Kyler was under Cliff Kingsbury. Remember that 2021 season when the team started 7-0, Kyler was looking like this MVP guy? The issue for that era of the franchise was that their defense and supporting talent lacked. Under Gannon, there was much improvement with the defense and O-line, but Kyler was still being totally held back by the scheme that was put in place by Drew Petzing. I will firmly stand on that. Like, the O-line struggled in the run game, which caused a lot of forced play action calls. They were not tailoring to Kyler's athleticism, and they didn't use Marvin Harrison Jr. as much as they should. With the Cardinals now hiring Mike LaFleur, former Rams OC, you gotta think he looks at Kyler's tool set and genuinely wants to attempt to bring back that 2021 version of him. I think the Cardinals also make major improvements on the offensive line through the draft to give Kyler more time to hit the big throws that he actually does excel at. And at the end of the day, the Cardinals have no better option at the position this year. Giving up on Kyler means they're essentially already giving up on 2026. Some fans might want it for a high draft pick in 2027 to draft a quarterback, but in that instance, you don't realize the impact on re-signing players that don't want to play on a rebuild. You also can't roll with Brissett. He is horrible in the pocket. People think that just because he collected garbage time stats from air raiding while down 15 makes him good. No, there's a reason he was a backup and only won one game this season. Getting rid of Kyler would further result in a huge cap hit at $54.7 million. He's worth more keeping, especially when his market value is a huge buy low right now. I wouldn't expect him dealt. Okay, so I actually just saw this one. So reports are that Anthony Richardson is expected to seek a trade. What an all-time fumble his development has been in Indianapolis. The Colts are really going to get rid of him when his value is the absolute lowest and then roll with a quarterback with an Achilles injury next year. Dude, I don't think they should trade him unless they are 1000% certain that Daniel Jones is going to be healthy by the start of next season. I understand that Anthony Richardson's time has been up and down so far, and it looks like new scenery is inevitable, but he's 23, still a lot of potential, and they spent the 4th overall pick on him. If he is indeed in the market, I think the Rams should be all over it. I trust McVay could bring out AR ceiling and learn under Stafford for some time. Imagine a world with that. What about another intriguing name here? Will Levis. So Will Levis is unlikely to remain in Tennessee with Robert Saleh's new staff. If you remember, he got shoulder surgery back in July after Cam Ward was drafted, but he's going to be fully healthy for the start of 2026, they say. Now, he's not going to be starting on an NFL team next season, obviously, but there is a market for him for teams that want a high upside backup they could develop. If I'm the Dolphins here, I think I'm in a position where I'm not wasting snaps to a veteran bridge quarterback just cuz. And are you really bought in on Quinn Ewers as the guy? So why not look at Levis to bring on and add some competition and maybe give some opportunities to see if he's still got any flashes in him? I know Malik Willis is one of the favorites to land in Miami, but this is a clear rebuild year. A quarterback in 2027 seems like their destiny. So in the meantime, why not take a shot on a low risk young quarterback to see if there's any worthwhile? Okay, I talked about Max Crosby last week, and again, I feel like every day there's a new rumor about his landing spot. One day it's the Lions, the next it's the Falcons, Broncos, Seahawks. You can make an argument for about every single team. But with his whole situation, I kind of think back to the same scenario with Myles Garrett. Remember when Garrett requested a trade multiple times, even announced he was done in Cleveland on Instagram, just to sign a record-breaking deal, making him the highest non-paid quarterback ever at the time. Plus, new head coach Clint Kubiak says he's had multiple productive conversations with him. I think Crosby genuinely enjoys being in Vegas outside of not winning games. It would take a lot to get the Raiders to trade him. He's under a huge contract, just signed that massive extension for 3 years back in March. All of these antics you see is just him putting pressure on the front office to make moves for the team to get better. He's not actively seeking to get traded. Okay, time to shift gears, cover some actual free agents, guys that we will be seeing in a new uniform next year. And the biggest name to watch is Tyreek Hill. Now, we all knew the Dolphins were going to cut him, right? They need to get under the salary cap, couldn't afford his payroll, and got to shift to a rebuild year. For Tyreek, a return to the Chiefs honestly makes the most sense. We know Tyreek is down. He's made it known he loves the new offensive coordinator, EB. The Chiefs desperately need a true wide receiver one. I wasn't impressed by Rashee Rice last year. I thought he missed a ton of opportunities for clutch grabs, and guys like Juju, Tyquan Thornton, Hollywood are solid depth spots, but you need a true go-to pass catcher now that Kelsey's age is catching up to him. I also know Tyreek is coming off some injuries, but he's still going to come back and be top 2, maybe even top 1% speed-wise. His tools were still elite before his injury in 2025, and I think the Chiefs should welcome the Cheetah back home with open arms. If not Kansas City, though, well, we know he's going to be going to a contender. Buffalo is being thrown out there, but I want to see Baltimore make a strong push and sign Tyreek. Maybe that'll entice Lamar to lock down a contract. And from a schematic standpoint, imagine Tyreek, Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, and Lamar. Shit, imagine that lineup in 2022. No doubt the Ravens Super Bowl window would be now or never, but if they want to go all in, Tyreek is a good signing. Another highly touted free agent wide receiver is going to be Alec Pierce. Now, most likely, I would say 95% chance the Colts are going to franchise tag him. He's going to stay put in Indy. But for the sake of talk, and since I think Pierce is literally one of the most underappreciated catchers in the game, I would argue he's up there with George Pickens as one of the best deep threat contested catch guys. The 49ers or Chargers would absolutely love to have him. They would probably be serious candidates. But like I said, Indy would be a fool to lose him. The bigger story with this is since the Colts are going to do everything to keep Alec Pierce, fellow wide receiver Michael Pittman is going to become a potential cap casualty. So getting rid of Pittman would free up $24 million for Indy. In that scenario, again, the Niners should be heavily in on acquiring him. I know they want speed, but they also need big-bodied guys out wide. I think Pittman would be fun in Shanahan's system. Tyler Linderbaum was the 4th highest graded center last season according to PFF. He had a 97% pass block win rate. That was second in the NFL, and he's going to hit the open market. It's not too often you see a 25-year-old superstar center just walk out the door after a rookie contract, but it's tough for the Ravens to sign him with their available cap right now. So if I'm the Raiders, I'm going all in on him. I think he's the perfect target for Clint Kubiak. They can move their current center, JPJ, to guard and beef up the protection for Mendoza because he needs it. Linderbaum would also single-handedly elevate Ashton Genty's game, creating more holes. I think the Giants, too, can be a team to watch. I think Harbaugh might want to bring him to New York. But to be honest, Linderbaum is probably not the best fit in New York. They already have a decent center, and there's a ton of holes elsewhere, like the back end of that defense, the secondary, and the linebackers. Chargers, too, obvious contender, probably had the worst offensive line in history last season. They can use all the help they can get to get Herbert more comfortable back in the pocket and stay upright. Just like Joe Burrow, Trey Hendrickson has had an insane amount of trade propaganda the last few years. All pro defensive end here, but with the lack of extension progress, it might finally be time he leaves Cincinnati. I think it's the best move. I am sick of all of these mock-ups for him. Just give him to Indy at this point. I feel like I haven't even seen him play and only have seen his name floating around in contract talks. I'm sick of it. Just team him up with his old DC, Lou Anarumo, and boost the Colts pass rush. Or sneaky, what about the Commanders making a push for him? They need some defensive help. They're top 5 in cap space. They got the money. Unfortunately, though, the Bengals are going to franchise tag him. He's going to get $30 million, and maybe next year we're actually going to be having some serious conversations. And so I know there's guys like George Pickens, Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall, but we all know they're going to stay put. I don't see any of those dudes leaving their current situation. Even Pickens, he was too good for Dallas last season. The only way he leaves is if Jerry Jones has another fallout with David Mulughetto. That's Pickens' agent. He is the same guy that represented Micah Parsons last season, and we all remember how that turned out. So that's going to wrap things up for this week. I appreciate you all tuning in, learning ball. Go ahead and drop a comment for your predictions on any of these players. I'll be responding back. And make sure you subscribe so you get all the updates on any latest video. Thank you guys.